Welcome to One People One Reef, the podcast that echoes the vibrant voices of our youth and the wisdom of our elders. I'm Slade Lina, your host. As we explore the world of reefs, culture, science, and stories on the outer islands of Ulithi Atoll, Micronesia. We hope this podcast provides unique perspectives and vital conversations of the life beneath and above the waves, sharing how Micronesian culture has thrived alongside these ecosystems for generations.
Think about it, where you're on an island with no electricity. I could smell kerosene from the lamps. And so it's dark outside. As a young kid, you're lying down on my grandmother's side. There was no technology then, no social media. And so the grandparents are, the more physically weaker ones. So they stay home, they watch their young kids. And our first education was from storytelling, and in the evenings.
Only time that you have with the elders is Nafaf. We call it Habun Nafaf. That's when they start to do the storytelling. And the problem before is the understanding the punchline of this storytelling, because we think this is a story. But now that we grow up, we start to realize that these stories are meant for something greater. Like we can understand the punchline.
I would say respect. Always you respect your elders, you respect the island, respect your home, respect the ocean. Parent and grandparent taught me how to respect. Respect and respect is very important, at least in this culture. Because without respect, anybody can do whatever they want.
You have just heard the voices of Magul, a community leader from Verada, Rancy, a youth leader on Mogomo, and Chief Isaac of Azor. In this episode, we'll dive into their perspective on how the elders and youths navigate changes to their culture while safeguarding their reefs and traditions.
I didn't understand some of the subtle messages that goes into hearing these stories and hearing, wisdom and that goes into it. It's just pastime and, here's how to put the kids to sleep maybe. But it made such a, I think, impact for me that I think about these moments when, we're doing all of our work now. I think about what I'm able to influence here in this community. How would grandma have thought of this? How would have they managed at a time like that if they understood kind of these factors, many factors that are happening today, whether it's impact of cell phone, for example, and lack of gas? How would have they managed that differently or teach differently? What would that generation, having lived, I think, much rougher than I am today, and I think about how would they see their life, how would they have influenced other people like me in that sense, and how that influences my decisions today and what I hope I can influence.
It's so little to do on the level of where the youth's at, because this is not the level where the decision making happen. So we're just like the workers and the enforcer of the law. Nowadays, we can do little activities that these kids will like, but yet it will teach the kids about management and how to influence these leaders to make the decisions that can benefit our generation. The leaders or the elders here in the islands are start to realize that they have to do the management correctly, because really it's not for them, because their time is about to expire. And they realize that they have to make decisions on managements that will benefit us. And they're starting to give us some role to play in how to able to create management policies that can benefit in the long run. can be managing on the reef and it can be management on land. Now we can participate in the talks about management. Before, you cannot talk to elders about this management on these reefs. It's so hard. They only make this, and we don't know that it's, all we know is that do this and don't do that. But now we start to have that conversation because they deem that it's their time is about to end, and they know that it's a time for us to be able to be in those discussions so we can know that it's the best management to apply at a certain time of a year or at a certain time of the season.
I hate to say this, but kind of hurt my heart because I don't see too much trying to teach children how to behave, how to use a certain language to tell the people how to behave in the community, men's house or woman's house, in front of the island, in the ocean. Maybe some parents, maybe they just tell their kid once or twice and then they don't listen, so they forget. That's not how it will go on it. You got to continue pounding it until they become familiar with it, they'll do it. But I don't know, I have a sad feeling about it. Unless we cooperate with one another now, the future generation will have much more hard time.
Our elders possess generations of traditional knowledge that are deeply linked to their place, people, and environments. They deeply value the importance of exposing youth to the Western world, supporting the community to navigate and adapt with the broader global landscape.
We've lost quite a few of our elders here in such a short period of time. Within my lifetime, I think the oldest person on this island now, what would he be now? 80s? That's it. And so there's a gap that's missing. And with other factors, younger people here are not being raised and exposed to such a wise or such a relevant teaching that exists for this place, maybe designed for this place. That's a different level of, integrating stories. Maybe nobody's going to sit by the grandma who's passed away, but maybe they rather be on a device and discuss similar stories or share stories.
People nowadays take it for granted. They don't want to learn anything. They just want to hook into the smartphone or iPhone, whatever the name is, play games or watch movies.
When I was here, I only think about myself. When I went to Guam school, I met a lot of people from different islands. That's when I started to have the feeling and to open up to other islands people. So when I came back, I decided that I'll do all for, not just for myself, but for the island and for the youth of Ulithi. So that's why my involvement for all of this was mainly the heart to help. When things are needed, must do. You got to do it. Dive in and do it. So that's what I've been doing here.
Knowledge is power here. And there's a saying here that knowledge don't shout. And that's a saying here. So if you want knowledge, you got to seek for it. And to seek for it, you got to pay something. You cannot get anything free. This is all in the old age now. Yeah, it's not really practicing now, but want to make a fish trap. Then you got to pay a little bit of something. Maybe a few coconuts or just the fish to the person who knows how to make a fish trap. And that way the person will feel good, and then he will feel how to make a fish trap. Because not everybody knows how to make fish trap. Only certain people are good in making fish trap. And the same for everything else. You gotta pay for something, especially on top of that is navigation, martial art, and the genealogy of people. Those are very important things. Yeah.
When you're younger, it's hard for you to learn what do you call it, the management practices and that, because I think it's no time. So that's when storytelling comes in place. But when we're young, it's hard to communicate to the like. It's hard for the elders or the parents to tell us straight. Don't kill the reeds, for example. They'll instead of that, they'll give us a story to listen to. So when we grow up, we understand. Oh, this is the moral of that story. That's how I grew up. That's how information passed down, knowledge passed down. Because when you're so small and they give you all that knowledge, you will end up in the cloud. When we say in the cloud, like really looking down on people. Because knowledge here is power. So the system really works well.
I think that bringing these to light, understanding the value and the relevance of that kind of teaching and what that is to the people that live here is crucial for us to understand, and not only understand it and navigate with that thought, but how do we pass it on? How do we ensure that, 50 years from today, when I'm not here, the youth from here will still have the sense of, unexplained connection to this place, and that's our quest. And I think that's our responsibility.
Somehow I got the privilege to act as a chief when I'm not a chief. I wasn't taught, but through observation, through seeing them teaching other older men, and that's how I acquired, that's how I learned, the seasonal things, like you fish a certain time of year and you don't do this kind of fish at the time of the year. So there's no formal training, but each family, at the night time, they will have to sit down in the home. That father will start to tell them about how important it is, cooperate in the community work on land or fishing in the ocean, respect. Respect is always on top.
One of the challenges that we have faced is that it's so really hard to communicate to the elders. And the elders are the peoples that they hold the law, and they're the one that create the laws. And we will try our best to able to influence, work, and ask if they can work with us. But now I can tell that the elders are open up their heart, they're willing to help, they're able to communicate and discuss. Before, we cannot. It's like this because of a culture is so strong. And it's disrespectful to able to discuss management with the elders. Because One People, One Reef came in the picture, and now they put us and these elders, they know that it's the best thing to do is to work with this One People, One Reef. Because we have this mentality that when you're small or when you're younger, you or have less knowledge. And it's so hard to talk or even correct the elders. So now, because of the respect and the trust they have for me, because I was there helping them, now things start going smooth. I'm not saying it will be like this because we never know, it might change, but we're moving slowly.
I wish they could come back when they finish the school. So bring back the knowledge that they acquire outside and apply whatever is applicable here and improve other things. But I don't envy those people that went outside because they find good life there. They got good jobs over there. So they send back stuff to their relatives, their parents, brothers and sisters. They help them to the school.
When I went outside, I took a business class, supervision of business management. And then when typhoon means I hit the islands, then that's when I realized I need to go back home because I feel the needs of the island calling me. And I came because my cousin passed away. So I came with a coffin. And when I got here, I realized that in order for me to go out there to have a proper education, I have to secure my foundation. I have to know my culture because it's part of me. And when not knowing your culture, it might be lost in the fog. So I went there and I came back and I know that I'm more productive to these islands than when I'm out there. But I know that I'm missing a lot of knowledge that I should gain. But I'm so grateful and I'm so blessed with this knowledge that I was gaining here in the island. Now I know more about myself, and knowing you more about yourself, you will know how to walk. So now I'm learning my history. So, and I know that when I go back to school, I'll have more knowledge and I'll be productive because I understand the importance of this management. So if I decided to go to school to get my degree on the marine biology, I'll push hard because I know that it's very important to the island.
My biggest fear is that the next generation may lose a sense of Ulithi. There's something special about this place that I can't describe. I'm not sure if it's the feeling of extended family that you know, or the security that you're not going to be homeless at any point in your life, or that you can grow old here and you know you're going to be taken care of. Things that I hear, other people talk about in bigger countries that it's hard to relate to because it's like, somebody's going to take care of you if you're older. I mean, come on. Like, I've once asked an older person outside of here, what is your biggest fear? And they said, my biggest fear is being alone and, older and being alone in some hospice. And this is an example of what we take for granted here in such a small but very tightly knit community. There are things here that are still kind of just very communal, and we may have individual differences like anywhere else, disagreements at times, but all of that goes out the door when there's a funeral or if you're sick. We completely forget about that and they come to your aid. And that's something that I'm not sure. I'm sure there's, smaller communities in the world that have that. That's something I'm fearful of if we continue to accept anything and everything. I'm grateful that so far we're still kind of, looking at the balance, both on a political level and community level. I say that because we have a traditional branch of government that kind of was mandated to look at those kinds of impact on a bigger level. But my fear is that we change so much that what I value today, the younger generation may not experience that. And I think that's a shame because there's something special about this place. Look at the buildings and look at our material, what we are wearing now, and we will be considered in the poverty level. We don't feel poor, and I think that's special.
I think that's one of the things that make me come here and help out. And helping out the community is no job to me. I was like, wake up in the morning, work. Because, I know that nobody's doing it and it's our time. And this generation is we're not the future leaders. We are the leaders of now. So as we speak, things are moving because we decided to wake up. Our generation decided to wake up. And if we sleep for the whole time, things won't move. We won't understand this knowledge. And this knowledge is what open up our mind to see beyond our island, able to help other islands.
Thank you for joining us on One People One Reef, the podcast. Your support and engagement are the tide that carries us forward as we celebrate the intricate balance of life within our oceans and the cultures that have safeguarded them for centuries. This podcast is a One People One Reef production, created by the media team, supported by National Geographic, and narrated by me, Slate Lahalishiyar. Our collaborative efforts combine indigenous knowledge with Western science, address rapid environmental changes, and elevate local leadership in conservation. To learn more, visit onepeopleonereef.org. If you've been moved by today's stories, stay connected by subscribing to our newsletter and following us on social media. Thank you.